So let's start. Pero bago daw kayo makapasa ng licensure exam, kailangan nyo daw mabilang kung ilan yung bangs ko. Joke lang. Okay, for reference sa ating soil science, gusto ko lang i-share yung ginagamit namin dati sa Central Luzon State University na libro, which is The Nature and Properties of Soils by Whale and Brady. Kumbaga, yan yung naging libro namin or naging Biblia namin sa pag-aaral ng soil science. For our first question, ayan na. What is the vertical cross-section of soil that reveals all its distinct layers from the surface down to the bedrock? Okay, before natin i-reveal kung ano yung tamang sagot, try to analyze muna kung ano yung question and try to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2. The correct answer is letter B, the soil profile. Now, bakit nga ba hindi si horizon, hindi texture, hindi structure? Okay? Yung nakikita nyo dito ngayon sa ating illustration, that is soil profile. And pag sinabi nating horizon, it refers to a single layer within the soil profile, such as the horizon O, horizon A, horizon E, B, C, and nakasama na rin dito yung bedrock. So while the term horizon is integral to understanding soil profile, dinidescribe lang niya yung individual sections ng lupa, hindi yung kabuoang cross-section from top to bottom. Now, si soil texture naman, it refers to the relative proportions of sand, silt, and clay particles sa lupa. So, si texture, dinedetermine niya yung water retention and nutrient retention capacity ng lupa natin. So, sa pag-aaral ng texture, napaka-importanteng pag-aralan din yung konsepto nito in determining how well soil supports plant life, pero hindi naman niya dinidescribe yung layer na or structure ng lupa as a profile does. Okay? Si structure naman, it refers to how individual soil particles are grouped into aggregates or clumps. And nakakaapekto rin si structure sa water movement, root penetration, and soil aeration. Okay? So, although si soil structure is critical for plant growth and soil management, nakafocus lang ito sa particle arrangement rather than the vertical layering ng lupa. Okay? So, si soil profile naman, since ito yung correct answer, mas i-discuss natin ng maigi. Nare-represent nito yung vertical section ng lupa from the surface to the parent rock or yung tinatawag nating bedrock. And sino-showcase din nito yung various horizons or layers na meron ding iba't ibang composition, texture, structure, and organic matter content. And sa bawat horizon na yan, na nakapaloob sa profile, nagre-reflect din yan dyan yung iba't ibang stages of soil formation and processes katulad ng weathering, organic decomposition, and mineral leaching. So napaka-importanteng pag-aralan si soil profile pagdating sa agriculture dahil nakakapag-provide ito ng information about the root zone, water retention, and nutrient availability ng lupa. So nakakatulong ito sa ating mga magsasaka para makapag-decide sila kung ano ba yung crop suitability and management practices na angkop sa kanilang lugar. Sa soil science naman, nakakatulong si soil profile sa pagka-classify ng lupa natin and para ma-assess natin yung physical and chemical properties ng lupa katulad ng pH, fertility, and drainage capacity. Now, pag nag-aaral naman kayo ng environmental science or any environmental studies, nakakatulong yung pag-aaral ng soil profile para ma-predict ninyo yung erosion risk sa isang lugar. Ganun na din yung water filtration and the soil sustainability for long-term use. Okay? So that is soil profile. So for more question and answer lecture or discussion, kindly follow my TikTok and Facebook account. Bye-bye. Number 2 na tayo. Which soil horizon is characterized by the highest biological activity, organic matter accumulation, and dark coloration due to humus essential for plant growth? Again, question number 2. Which soil horizon is characterized by the highest biological activity, organic matter accumulation, and dark coloration due to humus, and it is essential for plant growth? Okay, is it letter A, O horizon, A horizon, E horizon, B horizon, or C horizon? Alin kaya dyan yung tamang sagot? So again, try to analyze the question and try to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ano kaya ang tamang sagot? Letter B, A horizon. Okay, so huwag kayong maniniwala kapag hindi nyo sigurado yung sagot, letter C kaagad. Palagi nyo i-analyze yan. So, from the previous question, na-discuss naman na natin kung ano yung horizon, kung ano si soil horizon. But sige, balikan natin. Okay, si soil horizon, isa yung distinct layer ng lupa natin that forms parallel to the land surface due to soil forming processes such as weathering, leaching, and organic matter accumulation. And again, each horizon has different physical, chemical, and biological properties. Okay? Typically, ang soil horizon, meron silang label na mga letters. Buti pa yung horizon may label, kayo wala. And each horizon plays a unique role in the soil profile. Okay, discuss natin isa-isa. Let's start with O horizon. Yan. So si O horizon, it is the topmost layer composed entirely of organic material such as decomposing leaves, plants, and animal matter. And this horizon is particularly common in forests and is rich in in nutrients that contributes to the formation of humus. So si humus, okay, ito yung ito na yung stable form ng organic matter natin. Okay, and again, si O horizon, it is not part of the mineral soil and serves mainly as a surface layer that feeds organic matter into the soil system. Now, si A horizon naman, it is also known as topsoil, and it is the most important horizon for plant growth. Ayan, ito si horizon A. It contains a mix of organic material and minerals, making it fertile and rich in nutrients. So kung mapapansin nyo, meron siyang dark color. Okay? Yung dark color na yan, it is due to humus, which improves soil structure and moisture retention. And the A horizon is also the zone of most biological activity na kung saan the majority of plant roots are located. So in agricultural fields, this horizon is critical dahil sinusuportahan niya yung crops and other vegetation. Now, si E horizon naman, tinatawag rin siyang zone of eluvation. Again, zone of eluvation. Bakit siya tinawag na elevation? Dahil diyan nagkakaroon ng leaching. Okay? Pag sinabi nating leaching, ibig sabihin, yung tubig, gumagalaw yan through this layer. And dinadala rin niya yung mga na-dissolved na minerals and organic compounds pababa sa lower layers. And this horizon is typically lighter in color. Ayan. Diba? Compared kay A, mas lighter yung kulay niya. Kasi nga merong leaching and it loses nutrients and organic materials during the leaching process. It is often found in forested areas na kung saan merong heavy rainfall. And itong heavy rainfall na to, ina-accelerate niya yung removal of minerals. Okay? Now, si B horizon naman, tinatawag rin siyang subsoil. Okay? Dito naman nag-accumulate yung minerals katulad ng clay, iron, and aluminum na kung saan na-leach from the A and E horizons. So this layer is denser and has less organic mineral than A horizon. So ibig sabihin, less fertile siya for plant roots. However, again, meron siyang however, it serves as a reservoir for nutrients. Okay? Nag-i-store siya ng minerals na nalileach from the upper layers. And its color, kung mapapansin nyo, it is often, hindi siya nag-ano sa screen natin, no? It is often, ano bang color ni B? It is often red or yellow due to the accumulation of iron oxides. Now, si Sea Horizon naman, okay, alam na alam yan ng mga estudyante namin, shout out sa BPC. So si Sea Horizon, tinatawag rin siyang parent material dahil it consists of weathered parent materials that has broken down or to form the soil but hasn't been significantly altered by the various soil forming processes. And it is mostly composed of fragmented rocks and other geological materials. So this layer, sinusuportahan niya yung mga horizon na nasa taas by providing mineral content, but it is not involved in biological activity or plant growth. Now, si bedrock naman, or our horizon, so itong horizon na to, nire-represent naman niya yung unweathered bedrock beneath the soil layers. Ito siya. Okay? This solid rock layer has no biological activity and does not contribute to plant growth. And it forms the base of the soil profile. And over time, weathers to create the material that contributes to the upper layers. Okay? Kaya ang correct answer dyan is si A horizon kasi nga sa layer na yan, dyan nangyayari yung most biological activity. And dito rin nag-accumulate yung organic material and mataas rin yung humus content nito. Dito na-form yung humus. So, ibig sabihin, nasusuportahan niya yung plant life. Okay? So, yung ibang horizon, importante sila sa soil structure natin, pero they do not have the same combination of organic content, biological activity, and fertility as the A horizon. Again, bakit nga ba natin importanteng mapag-aralan or maintindihan si soil horizon? Dahil yun nga, kailangan ng ating mga magsasakayan, they need to know the characteristics of different horizons to manage soil fertility, irrigation, and tillage practices. So for instance, the A horizon, no, crucial siya sa crop growth because yan, it is high in nutrient content. Ibig sabihin, fertile yung lupa. Diba? And also, understanding horizons, again, helps in soil conservation practices. Nape-prevent natin yung erosion and degradation. Okay? Ganun din, again, sa mga soil scientist or agriculturist, si Soil Horizon, it tells the story of a soil's development and can provide clues about the history of the environment, climate, and vegetation in a particular area. Hi, for our third question. Mukhang madali, no? Pero sa exam kasi, kahit gaano kadali yung question, kapag naunahan kayo ng kaba, may chances pa rin na mablangko kayo. So, relax lang. Try to relax kahit papano. Okay? Now, which of the following is defined as an aggregate of one or more minerals that forms a solid, naturally occurring mass? A. Soil, B. Mineral, C. Sediment, or D. Rock? Again, analyze the question and try to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ano kayang correct answer, no? Letter D, rock. Bakit kaya? Okay, ang question kasi dito is aggregate of one or more minerals. So, si rock kasi, it is a naturally occurring, solid, inorganic material made up of an aggregate of one or more minerals. So, sa geology, pag pinag-uusapan yung term na aggregate, it refers to a combination of different minerals that are physically mixed but not chemically bonded. And nung elementary naman tayo, for sure, or nung high school na pag-aralan na natin na yung rocks are classified into three major categories based on their what? Formation. So ito yung igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. So si igneous rocks, na-form ito from the cooling and solidification ng molten magma and or lava. So these rocks are composed of interlocking crystals of minerals. For example na lang, si granite. Okay? It is an igneous rock made up of quartz, feldspar, and mica. So yung crystalline structure ng mineral na to, yun yung mga yung crystalline structure ng quartz, feldspar, and mica, yun yung nagbibigay ng coarse structure or yung magaspang na structure ng granite. Another example is si basalt. It is mainly composed of pyroxene, pyroxene, and plagioclase. So typically, natatagpuan ito sa oceanic crust. Okay? Another classification of rock is si sedimentary rock. Okay? So these rocks form from the compaction and cementation naman ng particles derived from other rocks or from organic materials. And they often consist of minerals that are carried by water, wind, or ice na nagde-deposit naman sa layers over time. So example ng sedimentary rock is si limestone. So primarily, it is composed of mineral na calcite, which is derived from the shells and skeletons of marine organisms. Another example of sedimentary rock is yung sandstone. Okay? Nafo-form naman siya from cemented grains of quartz and feldspar. Last but not the least, another classification of rock is the metamorphic rocks. So itong rocks naman na to ay nafo-form when an existing rocks katulad ng igneous, sedimentary, or even other metamorphic rocks undergo changes due to intense heat, pressure, or chemically active fluids. For example, yung marble natin, it is a metamorphic rock formed from limestone under heat and pressure. Okay, it is composed primarily of recrystallized calcite. So another example of metamorphic rock is slate. Okay, nafo-form naman ito from shale, composed of minerals katulad ng mica and chlorite. Okay, so yung rocks natin, kung babalikan natin si soil formation or yung profile natin, rocks are the primary source of soil formation, okay? And when they undergo weathering, or yung process that involves physical, chemical, and biological breakdown, nagpuproduce sila ng mineral particles na nakakapag-contribute sa formation ng lupa, okay? And nakakapag-support din yan ng plants natin. So, bakit hindi soil ang sagot? So, si soil, okay, kung babalikan natin si definition ng lupa sa ating mga discussions, sa ating mga school, it is not a rock, but it is a mixture of minerals, organic matter, water, air, and living organisms. So yan yung composition ng lupa natin. Diba? Mayroon tayong 45% minerals, 5% organic matter, and yung remaining 50% is yung pore spaces na kung saan either it is filled with 25% water or 25% air. Okay, natatandaan ba? And it forms from the weathering of rocks over time. So yung lupa, it is essential for plant growth, but it is a dynamic body, not an aggregate of minerals. So unlike rocks, soil includes both mineral particles and organic components, and it serves as a medium for biological activity. Si mineral naman, of course, it is a naturally occurring inorganic substance with a definite chemical composition and a crystalline structure. So si mineral, ito yung building blocks ng rocks natin, but they are individual substances, not aggregates. For instance, si quartz, it is a mineral that can be found in many types of rocks such as granite. Yan yung example natin kanina. However, a single mineral cannot be called a rock because it is a pure substance, not a combination of multiple components. Okay, nagigets? Si sediment naman, sediment consists of loose particles derived from rocks, minerals, or organic material na na-transport ng tubig, wind, or even ice. So these particles can accumulate in layers and over time, nagiging compacted sila para makapagbuo or makabuo ng sedimentary rocks. However, sediment in its loose form is not considered as a rock. So sediment can include materials katulad ng sand, silt, and clay, which are important naman, again, sa soil formation, but hindi siya, wala siyang solid structure katulad ng rock. Okay. Kaya ba? So, bago ang lahat, mag-coffee muna tayo. Required yan. Okay. Question number 4. Medyo paos ang anti nyo, pero go. Which soil formation process involves the chemical or physical alteration of soil constituents, leading to the destruction of existing materials and the synthesis of new minerals or compounds? Letter A, transformation. B, addition. C, losses. Or D, translocation. Okay? Again, palagi niyong i-analyze yung question and maghanap kayo ng mga keywords. And kapag nakahanap kayo ng keywords, isa-isahin nyo namang mabilisang i-define yung mga pagpipilian. At kung ano yung pinakamalapit doon, yun na yung tamang sagot. Okay, ano kayang tamang sagot? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Letter A, transformation. Pag sinabi nating transformation, isa ito sa 4 na fundamental processes kung paano na-form yung lupa. And it involves chemical, physical, or biological alteration of existing soil constituents. So during this process, yung ibang materials, chemically or physically, nabobroken down sila or nagkakaroon ng destruction. Samantalang yung iba naman, nasi-synthesize from precursor materials. And yung process na to, it leads to the formation of new minerals, new organic compounds, or other soil constituents that contribute to the evolution and properties of soil. Okay, para mas maintindihan natin maigi, i-discuss natin yung iba't ibang mechanisms na involved sa transformation. So, unang-una na dyan is yung tinatawag nating weathering of primary minerals. Na-discuss na natin yan from our previous discussion. So, konting review lang. So, pag sinabing primary minerals such as quartz, feldspar, mica, nag-undergo yan ng weathering process kapag sila ay na-expose sa atmosphere, water, and biological activity. And this weathering can be chemical or physical weathering. Now, chemical weathering, it involves the breakdown of minerals through chemical reactions, katulad na lang ng hydrolysis, oxidation, and carbonation. So for example, yung feldspar, it undergoes hydrolysis to form kaolinite.
So si kaolinite, it is a type of clay mineral. And iron-containing minerals oxidize to form iron oxides katulad ng hematite or hematite. And pag sinabi namang physical weathering, this involves the mechanical breakdown of rocks and minerals into smaller particles without changing their chemical composition. So again, nagkakaroon lang ng changes sa kanilang physical structure. So for example, the freezing and thawing cycle can cause rocks to fracture into smaller pieces. Yun lang. So, kumbaga, sa physical structure lang, nagkakaroon ng changes. Okay? Another key mechanism sa transformation is clay mineral formation. So, through chemical weathering, primary minerals transform into secondary clay minerals. Okay, for example, the transformation of feldspar into kaolinite or montmorillonite during the hydrolysis is an essential process in the formation of the soil, especially in humid and tropical regions. So, this newly formed clay, nagko-contribute ito sa soil fertility by providing sites for nutrient and water retention. Another key mechanism is humification and organic matter decomposition. So during this process naman, yung organic matter katulad ng plant and animal residues, nag-undergo yan ng decomposition by soil organisms. Yung decomposition process na to, it leads to the formation of humus. So si humus, again, it is the stable form of organic matter that contributes to the soil structure, water retention, and nutrient availability. So this biological transformation plays a critical role in carbon cycle and nutrient cycle within the soil. Okay? Another key mechanism is the changes to soil structure. Okay? Yung formation or destruction na nangyayari sa aggregates is another form of transformation. So for example, yung activity ng soil organism, root growth, and yung presence ng organic matter, it can lead to the formation of stable aggregates. So conversely, yung intensive cultivation naman and the breakdown of organic matter can lead to the destruction of soil structure. So this will result in the soil compaction or increased susceptibility to erosion. Okay? So bakit hindi addition, bakit hindi losses, or bakit hindi translocation yung sagot? So unang-una, si addition process, this involves the input or external material into the soil system. For example, addition, this includes the deposition of organic matter from decaying plants, wind-blown dust, adding minerals particles, or fertilizer na ina-apply ng mga tao, ina-apply natin sa lupa. So additions do not involve modifying or altering existing soil materials. Kasi di ba nga nag-a-add ka lang ng mga inputs. Kay losses naman, of course, from the word itself, losses refers to the removal of materials from the soil system. Katulad na lang ng through leaching, where water dissolves and carries nutrients or minerals out of the soil profile, or erosion, where topsoil is physically removed by the wind or water. So for instance, kapag nagkaroon ng loss of calcium carbonate in humid environments, so nagkakaroon yan ng losses through leaching, and it can result in soil acidification. However, yun nga, yung losses, hindi yan nag-involve ng alteration or creation of new materials. Okay? So nagkakaroon lang ng removal of nutrients or materials. Kay translocation naman, again, from the word itself, Translocation is the movement of soil constituent, katulad na lang ng clay, organic matter, or minerals from one part of the soil profile to another. Okay, again, nagkakaroon lang ng movement from one part or from one layer to another layer of the soil profile. For example, in a Luvisol, yung clay particles na nagta-translocate from the upper horizon or yung tinatawag nating A horizon, napupunta yan sa B horizon. So, nagkakaroon ng formation ng clay-enriched horizon. So, yun nga, yung sa translocation, it involves movement. Ibig sabihin, hindi nagkakaroon ng modification. Okay? Walang destruction na nangyayari. So, which is why it differs from transformation. Okay? So, basically, yung apat na processes na involved sa formation ng lupa is transformation, addition, losses, and translocation. And yung answer dito, dahil yung key word dito is destruction, okay? Ang answer po dito is transformation. So kung medyo naguluhan sa ating discussion, pwede nyo yung i-comment sa ating comment section para mas ma-discuss pa natin ng maigi. Bye-bye! Okay, for our question number 5, let's have a situational question. A farmer in a tropical region notices that his soil is forming and changing more quickly compared to a farm in a cooler temperate region. What is the most likely reason for the faster soil development on his farm? Okay, bakit daw mas mabilis magkaroon ng development doon sa lupa ng farmer na nasa tropical region kumpara doon sa lupa na nasa temperate region? Letter A, more rainfall, which increases leaching and speeds up rock breakdown. Letter B, cooler temperatures, which slow down soil formation. C, less rain, which prevents leaching and keeps the soil stable. D, colder climate, which speeds up the breakdown of rocks. Ano kaya yung pinaka malapit na rason kung bakit mas mabilis magkaroon ng development sa tropical region kaysa sa temperate region? And the correct answer is letter A. Okay, why? Discuss muna natin yung 4 na factors na nakaka-influence sa pag-form ng lupa. Okay, meron tayong climate, topography, parent rock or the parent material, time, and organisms or yung biota. So, unahin natin si climate. Si climate, ito yung pinaka critical factor na nakaka-influence sa pag-form ng lupa. So, primarily through temperature and precipitation. So, yung high temperature, napapabilis niya yung chemical weathering of rocks and nai-increase rin niya yung biological activities ng organisms sa lupa. So, leading to faster decomposition of what? Organic matter and nutrient cycling. So, yung precipitation naman, it affects the degree of leaching, kung gaano ba kabilis or kabagal yung leaching. And again, pag sinabi nating leaching, ito yung kung saan yung tubig na transport niya yung mga materials or nutrients downward through the soil profile. Kumbaga, nawawash out yung nutrients. Okay? Ayan. So, in tropical climates with high rainfall, yung lupa natin, nag-undergo siya ng mabilis na weathering and leaching. So, mas mabilis yung development ng lupa dito compared to arid or cold climates. Na kung saan, mas mabagal yung process sa pag-develop ng lupa. Okay? Second is, another factor for soil formation is the organism. So, ang role naman ng living organism, including yung plants, animals, and microorganisms, kasama na rin tayo. Okay? So, yung plant roots, physically, bine-break apart nila yung parent material and nakakapag-contribute sila sa organic matter through decomposition or through decay, sorry. So, samantalang yung microorganisms, katulad ng bacteria and fungi, dinedecompose naman nila yung organic material and nire-recycle din nila yung nutrients pabalik doon sa lupa. So, yung animals naman, di ba, ang pinaka characteristics kasi ng animals is naghuhukay sila. So, yung paghuhukay na yun, hindi lang yun wala lang. So, ang tulong nun sa ating lupa, ini-aerate nila yung lupa. So, by doing that, sa paghukay ng mga, pag-scratch ng mga animals sa lupa natin, napopromote nila yung better drainage and root growth. Okay? So, sa human activities naman, katulad ng sa agriculture and deforestation, kapag nagkakaroon ng deforestation, na-alter din natin yung physical and chemical properties ng lupa. But we will have a separate discussion on that. So sa parent material naman, another factor for the formation of soil. So the geological material from which, kung saan na-develop yung lupa natin, okay, from the rock or sediment, may direct effect ito pagdating sa texture ng lupa, mineral content, and fertility. So, yung mga lupa na na-form from igneous rocks like basalt, ay mataas yan sa minerals and mas nagde-develop ito sa fertile na lupa. Whereas, soils from sandstone or quartz, or mataas sa quartz, mas less yung fertility nila. So, yung chemical composition ng parent material, dinedetermine nito kung gaano kabilis ma-weather yung parent material. Okay? So, another factor influencing the formation of the soil is the topography or relief. So, yung relief or slope ng land, nakaka-influence yan sa soil depth and erosion rates. So, on steep slopes, soils are more prone to erosion. Okay? Kung prone sa erosion yung lupa mo, naaalis yung topsoil and mas napapabagal niya yung soil development. So in contrast naman sa flat areas or gently sloping areas, it allow deeper soil formation dahil nga mas lesser or naiiwasan yung erosion dito and mas better pa yung water retention. Okay? So, yung direction din ng slope or kung saan siya nakaharap, it can also affect the microclimate na kung saan nai-influensyahan yung temperature, moisture, and soil formation. So, to answer our question dito, ayan, ay para mas explain yung sagot dito sa ating situational question, ayun, so kapag mas mataas yung precipitation or kapag pag merong more rainfall sa isang lugar, na-enhance yung process ng leaching. Okay? And again, leaching removes dissolved minerals and nutrients na kung saan na-accelerate yung chemical weathering of rocks and yung breakdown ng parent material into simpler or into smaller particles na kung saan nakaka-contribute sa soil formation. So in tropical climates with high temperature, okay, it speeds up the biochemical reaction. So mas nai-increase yung weathering rates. So yung combination ng high rainfall and warm temperatures, nagli-lead ito sa faster soil development. So yun yung explanation sa sagot sa ating question number 5. So explain din natin yung ibang pamimilian. Okay? So bakit nga ba hindi sila yung sagot sa tanong kung may right med ba ito? Charot. So cooler temperature. So inaalaw nito yung ini-slow down nito yung formation ng lupa. Kasi sa cooler temperature, okay, mabagal din yung physical weathering and chemical reaction na kung saan nakaka-contribute again sa soil formation. So in cooler climates, yung biological activity rin nare-reduce. So nagre-result naman ito sa slower decomposition of organic matter and slower soil formation overall. So therefore, sa cooler temperatures, ayun nga, mas mabagal yung development and hindi nito na-accelerate yung soil formation and development. So doon naman sa less rain. Okay, so less rainfall would limit the process of leaching. So nare-reduce nito yung pag-transport ng minerals through the soil and the weathering of rocks. So yung stability ng lupa in this case is not the factor leading to faster soil development. So in fact, less rain nga would slow the breakdown of rocks and the formation of soil. Okay? Sa colder climate naman, hindi niya napapabilis yung breakdown ng rocks. So, incorrect yung letter D. Kasi doon sa colder climates, yun nga, yung weathering process mabagal din. So, while freeze, doon sa, ayun, mabagal din. Medyo ako nag-zone out, gabi na kasi. Ayun. So, sa malamig na area or sa cold na area, nagkakos yan ng, mabagal na physical and overall chemical weathering rate, and yung biological decomposition then is mas mabagal. So this results in slower soil formation compared to tropical climates. And mas madidiscuss pa natin yung iba't ibang formation or iba't ibang factors na nakakaapekto sa development ng lupa sa iba pang questions. So, yan. Abang-abang lang. Yan, for question number 6. Which of the following refers to the proportion of sand, silt, and clay in the soil and is crucial for determining water retention, drainage, and nutrient availability? Which of the following refers to the proportion of sand, silt, and clay in the soil and is crucial for determining water retention, drainage, and nutrient availability? Letter A, soil fertility. B, soil organic matter. C, soil texture. Or letter D, soil pH. Try to analyze. So the correct answer is letter C, soil texture. Okay, see, soil texture, it refers to the relative proportion of sand, silt, and clay particles in a soil sample. So these three components determine the physical properties of the soil, katulad ng water retention, drainage, nutrient availability, and ease of root growth. So yung texture, nakaka-influence yan sa irrigation, fertilization, and crop selection. So napaka-importante dito pagdating sa pagmamanage ng agricultural soils. And bakit nga ba hindi soil fertility, organic matter, and pH ang correct answer? Kasi when we say soil fertility, it refers to the ability of the soil to provide essential nutrients sa ating mga halaman or crops, but it is influenced by more factors than texture alone. So katulad ng organic matter and iba't ibang soil amendments. Now, soil organic matter, it is the amount of decomposed plant and animal material in the soil. It is crucial for soil fertility, pero hindi niya naman dinidescribe yung soil's texture, which is a mineral property. Si soil pH naman, it measures the acidity or alkalinity of the soil, affecting nutrient availability, pero hindi siya related sa physical composition ng soil particles. Now, as I mentioned, texture refers to the proportion of different sized mineral particles in the soil, and these particles are classified into 3 major types, which are the sand, silt, and clay. And each type meron silang iba't ibang or meron silang distinct characteristics that affect how kung paano mag-behave ang lupa in terms of water retention, drainage, aeration, nutrient availability, and plant growth. So as you can see, ang may pinakamalaking particle size is si sand. And yung spaces between individual particles of sand, silt, and clay, yan yung tinatawag nating pore spaces. And kung mapapansin nyo rin, kapag malaki ang particle size, of course, malaki rin yung pore spaces. So, ibig sabihin, dito kay sand particle, since yung particle size niya ay nagre-range from 0.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters, meron siyang malaking pore spaces. So, ibig sabihin, mas mabilis ma-drain yung tubig. So, this makes sandy soils well drained, but they can also dry out rapidly. So, kapag sandy yung texture sa isang area, mas nare-require niya yung frequent irrigation. And of course, since mas malaki yung pore spaces niya, okay, sandy soils are well aerated. So, it provides ample oxygen for plant roots. However, since mabilis mag-drain yung lupa, nutrients also leach quickly through sandy soils, so making it difficult for plant growth or for plant to access nutrients unless magkakaroon din kayo ng frequent fertilization. Okay? Kay silt naman, meron siyang 0.002 millimeters to 0.05 millimeters particle size. And ayan, as you can see, meron siyang sapat na pore spaces. Okay? So, kapag hinawakan mo yung silt na sand, ang mafe-feel mo dyan is meron kang smooth or flowy or para siyang flour kapag dry and slippery naman kapag wet. So, since silt has smaller particles than sand, ibig sabihin, it holds more water and nutrients. And hindi siya kaagad nagde-drain. Ibig sabihin, mas mataas yung water retention niya. And mas nakakapag-hold din siya ng nutrients. Okay? Mas better yung water retention and nutrient retention niya compared kay sand. Okay? Kay clay naman, kung mapapansin nyo, masyadong maliliit yung particle size ng clay. And less than 0.002 millimeters yung particle size niya. So, ibig sabihin, okay, clay particles pack tightly together. So, ibig sabihin, it allows them to hold large amounts of water. However, nahihirapan ding i-drain ng clay yung tubig. So, prone siya sa pagbaha. Kaya nagkakaroon ng water logging. Ayan. So, isa rin sa disadvantage kapag may clay texture yung lupa mo sa isang area, magkakaroon din yan ng magkakaroon yan ng, of course, pagbaha. And may hirapang madrain ng lupa yung tubig. Ayun. Prone din siya sa compaction. Okay? Especially kapag yung lupa mo ay basa. So, this makes it difficult for root growth. Okay? So, due to limited yung water movement, limited din yung air movement within the soil. Yan. Of course, meron din tayong iba't ibang method para ma-determine kung ano yung texture ng lupa sa isang area. So, pinakamadali dyan is yung feel method or yung tinatawag din nating field method. So, napakabilis ma-determine ng texture sa isang area kapag ito yung gagamitin natin. So, it requires no special equipment and can be done directly in the field. So, this method uses the tactile characteristics of the soil particles to distinguish sand, silt, and clay. So, of course, meron din yung advantage and disadvantages. So, ang advantage nito, of course, quick and easy siya. and can be performed in the field, and it provides a rough estimate of soil texture. So however, subjective ito and it relies on the experience ng tao na gumagawa ng field method or field method. So aside from that, hindi rin siya nakakapagbigay ng precise percentage of sand, silt, and clay dahil nga subjective lang itong method na to. So another method is the sedimentation test or jar method. So it is a simple and at-home or field method ulit for determining soil texture. So it visually separates the sand, silt, and clay particles in a soil sample based on their different settling rates in water. So this method provides a rough but informative idea of the proportions of the three soil particles. So ang advantage naman niya is hindi siya expensive and napakadali rin nitong i-perform katulad ng field method. And also, it provides a clear visual separation of the different soil particles. However, it only provides an estimate of soil texture. So yung accuracy nito, depende yan sa person's ability to measure and calculate percentage of sand, silt, and clay. Next is the hydrometer testing. So si hydrometer method, it is a more accurate laboratory testing for determining soil texture. It measures the relative proportion of sand, silt, and clay by tracking how quickly particles settle out of a suspension in water. So based on their size and weight. So yung method na to, it is commonly used for soil analysis in scientific and agricultural setting. Okay? Ayun. Next is soil texture triangle. Ayan. So kung makikita nyo, it is a diagram used to classify soil based on the proportions of sand, ayan, silt, and clay. Ayan. So naka-base sa field method, sa jar method, and hydrometer method yung pagbasa dito sa soil texture triangle. Okay? So dito kay triangle, it helps identify the soil textural class katulad ng loam, clay loam, sandy loam, and etc. Okay? Dinidescribe nito yung overall behavior ng lupa in terms of water retention, drainage, and fertility. So ang advantage naman nito, it provides a precise classification of soil texture and natutulungan rin niya yung mga magsasaka and scientists to understand yung behavior ng lupa based on its textural class. However, yun nga, it requires an accurate data from other texture tests. Okay? And of course, it is only a classification tool, not a method of measuring texture directly. So each of these methods for determining soil texture has its own strengths and weaknesses. So again, the field method is a quick and practical for field use, but subjective. The jar method offers a simple visual representation of soil texture, while yung hydrometer method naman, it provides the most precise laboratory measurements. So once the percentages of sand, silt, and clay are known or determined, the soil texture triangle is, ginagamit para ma-classify yung soil's texture, which informs management decisions for irrigation, fertilization, and crop selection. So bakit ba natin kailangang i-determine yung texture ng lupa at bakit ba natin kailangang intindihin kung ano yung texture ng lupa? So unang-una, soil texture affects agricultural management practices katulad ng watering needs. So for example na lang, sa sandy soils, it require more frequent watering, while yung clay naman, it require careful irrigation to prevent waterlogging. Sa fertilization naman, of course, sandy soils may need more frequent fertilization due to nutrient leaching, while yung clay naman, since it holds nutrient better, maaaring magkaroon naman siya ng compacted soil kapag na-overwork. So pagdating naman sa crop selection, of course, since meron tayong magkakaibang crops, meron din silang iba't ibang requirements. Okay? So understanding the texture helps in selecting the right crop that match the soil properties for optimal growth. And knowing the soil texture, napaka-importante nito para mas ma-optimize pa natin yung pag-manage ng lupa and to ensure efficient water use and para ma-improve din natin yung ating crop yield. Yan. So medyo mahaba ang ating explanation. Ganyan ka-importante kasi ang pag-determine ng soil texture. Yan. Salamat sa pakikinig.